Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and Ethan is joining me today because today we are delving into the music side of geekdom today. We're talking about an album released in May 1996. It has gone platinum 6 times platinum in the UK. It still holds the record for having 6 top 3 singles in the UK released off it. It hasn't been surpassed in the UK. And it was the third studio album by this artist after a long 5.5 years with a dispute with Sony. It's a bit topical now, isn't it? We are talking, of course, the album Older by Mr. George Michael. There you are, Ethan's modelling the CD for us. So, Ethan, what's your opening thoughts on this album? We'll go into depth with the songs, but what are your opening thoughts on the Older?
Well, in my, as you probably, so those of you who already know, this is my favorite album by George. Not only my favorite album by George Michael, but this is just my personal opinion. I'll probably get disagreements saying, "What? Are you sure about that?" But in my opinion, to me anyway, it's not only my favorite album, but I think it's the best album he's ever done because it's different. We all knew him as Wham, which was very upbeat and dancey and stuff. And with Faith, you still got that vibe of Wham, but it's still fast, upbeat and stuff.
Yeah,
but it's more him because before that we had his solo stuff like The Great Careless Whisper, A Different Corner,
yeah,
Kissing a Fool. So we got the idea that he could go into darker, mature, jazzy style music because he loved jazz. And I believe there's a jazz musician that he grew up with, which he's dedicated. There's 2 people he's dedicated this to. Yeah. The jazz singer is Antonio Carlos Jobim, or Tom Jobim, for short.
Tom Jones? Did you just say Tom Jones? What do you 12?
I can hear a certain person in Wales going, "What?" Yeah, Tom Jobim. The second person he dedicated to, we'll go into detail later with one of the songs. But Tom Jobim was one of the Brazilian jazz writer, artist, and one of the last great Brazilian jazz artists. And I listened to a few of his a few days ago. Very beautiful jazz music, and it's very nostalgic. As someone who grew up with Lupin III, it has that similar jazz style. And George Michael always liked that jazz stuff. And he brought this out during a time when he was starting to find himself, come out and all that. And that's why I think this is more him. This is George Michael, and he found himself, and it was darker, more mature, more emotional, and it did. My 2 favorite music types are all kinds of rock and all kinds of jazz, and this album just pulls it off perfectly. It adds a great mixture of dance, pop, but there's a lot of different jazz flavors. Each song had a different jazz style, and that's why personally it's the best album, but it's also my favorite album because it's one of these albums. I think the older you get, the more you can relate to it, the more you appreciate it, because it's kind of like a story. It's all about like ups and downs with relationships, sexual desires, loss of friends and people you loved, dealing with yourself, like losing someone or trying to move on. As one of the songs is called Move On. And you feel like if you've done something bad in a relationship, to be forgiven. And it's a very emotional album, but it's a very beautiful album. And it's one of the most beautiful albums I've ever listened to. It still stands up today. After over 20 years, it still stands up. And I don't know if this is true, but from what I think it is, this is supposedly George Michael's favorite album he's ever done.
Oh, wow.
because he got to do what he wanted to do, like something more darker, something that's more older. And I suppose it is like growing up. He's grown up from Wham, that bouncy young kid in his early 20s. And when he did this, I think he was about 34, 35 or something.
Yeah.
He was older, and he had lost someone he loved, which we'll go into that later. But it is, I never get tired of listening to this. It is a really beautiful album.
Well, as I say, I haven't listened to this for quite a while. And then we was discussing this the other night, and you suggested this one. So I thought, yeah, I'll bang it in today and I'll listen to it. And I totally agree with you. You do get the feel this is the more adult George Michael. I know he sort of despised his faith persona from '87. The ripped jeans, the leather jacket, and the record company wanted a follow up to that one with Listen Without Prejudice, Volume 1. They sort of got a sort of Faith Volume 2 with that album, but you could see he was progressing. But then we had a long wait for this. And once he came back, the image of George Michael had totally changed. Gone was the ripped jeans, gone was the leather jacket, gone was the bleached curly hair. Yeah, short moustache, beard, little goatee.
Very cool look. Very cool look with the turtleneck jumper, the mega long black coat.
Yeah, he was booted and suited.
He looks brilliant.
I think it was a decision what he wanted to do. He wanted to be grown up and prove to the record companies he's no longer a teen idol. He is a grown man. And once it came, once it was released, it was a success all over Europe. Not so in America. But no accounting for taste, I suppose.
I think maybe they weren't used to like the whole change. Like, oh, I know him as a teen idol.
Maybe so. Yeah, that we do not like change. I totally understand what you're saying with the jazz feel. You do get the jazz in this, and nearly every song has got jazz through it, even if it's sort of just under the beat and just of like the pop beat, because there is several out. It's got a bit more dancey. But the jazz does, I would say, 90% of this album overtake the album. So the album was released in May '96, and straight to number one in the UK and straight to number one in other European countries. Never got to number one in America, of course. But the first single off it, we'll go to the singles now. The track listing. The first single off it was released, I think it was about January 1996. The rating at number one, Jesus to a Child. It was number one in the UK, number one in Australia, number one in Ireland. It got to number 7 in America. It was a top 10 hit for them. To come back with this song, it was nearly 6 minutes long, 5 minutes, 6 minutes long.
Yeah, 6 minutes, I think. Yeah.
To come back, you would expect him to come back with something more upbeat. Say pow, I'm back. But no, he took the decision to release this one, track one, Jesus to a Child. It's a beautiful song.
Oh, it is.
It's one of my favourite songs by him. When it first came out, I just played it. And I still play it today. Once I'm in the George Michael mood, it always goes on. But, what's your take on Jesus to a Child?
Yeah, well, as you said, I remember back in the mid-90s when the songs that you heard the most anyway, probably on the radio, were like Jesus to a Child, Fast Love, and Older as well, because they were the top singles. But yeah, everybody was like, is this George Michael? Yeah, but it was slower. And it is a very beautifully done song. Beautiful music video as well. And it is a very sort of like romantic song, and it does delve into like finding someone.
Yeah.
You're like he's lost. Well, you're lost and something, and you always get that one person who just smiles at you. You fall in love with. You smiled at me like Jesus to a child, and it is a very romantic.
I mean, yeah. I mean, going on hindsight now, he's no longer with us, but until he came out as well.
Mm.
Going back on his past recordings, you can see meaning in the lyrics now. Read more, but as before you couldn't because you didn't know of his private life.
Yeah.
And now you go back and look at his, you go back to the older album, Listen Without Prejudice and Faith. You read into the lyrics and you think it was.
Yeah, he was basically trying to tell the world. He was trying to tell the world, this is me. Deal with it.
Yeah, it's so blatantly there. It's so blatantly obvious now.
I know. And that's what I got when I was listening to it, and I thought, that's not only a romantic romance song for all of us, but it is him saying,
yeah, this is me. So this is me. Yeah, I love the song. It's a great opener to an album. I don't think you could have opened this album with another song.
This one sets the tone of the whole album, because I always look at albums as stories. It's like one big story and each one's a different chapter. This opens it up perfectly, so you get the feel and the tone of this album.
Yeah.
And you just knew it was going to be vastly different, which is I've known artists. I think George Michael pulled it off better than a lot of people, because you always had those artists like Kylie Minogue, for example. She tried doing a darker route, but it was unsuccessful, and so she just jumped back to the more dancey, poppy
sort of scene. Yeah,
sort of scene. But for George Michael, it worked. He somehow nailed it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, this as well, as I said, this being his third studio album of original songs. Looking back at it now, and you think, wow, after this we only get one more studio album of original songs, which was Patience in 2004. I mean, he brought out the songs from the 20th century album.
Yeah, something like that, but that was all like covers.
They were covers, yeah, and there was a live album and all like that, but so there was only another studio album after the of originals, and you think, wow, a career runs that long, and he didn't release that much. But getting back to the track listing, track 2, I've made notes, you see, I've made notes. Track list, Fast Love, track 2, which was the second single to released, number 1 in the UK, number 1 in Australia, number 8 in America. And this single, Fast Love, is the last time George Michael charted in America. Yeah,
that's right.
Which I think I don't know, there's no justice in the world. I mean, all the songs after this and off the other albums and stuff like that deserve some recognition in America.
Yeah, they do.
I just don't understand why all of a sudden nothing after this single, Fast Love. I mean, Fast Love, using that famous riff from the Patrice Rushen song, Forget Me Not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. George Michael, he wasn't bothered about sampling other songs and but yeah, number 1 again in the UK, stayed there for several weeks. Cool video as well. I think he won several MTV awards, that video. And he looked cool. He looked cool in that video.
Yeah, he's just great.
Back in that chair with all these people. But so what's your take on Fast Love then?
Well, I know you already know this, but it's one of my favourite songs of all time, and it's definitely my favourite song on this album. It's just such a good, sexy song, and I've always said this is my favourite song about love and sex. You could have any other artist like Prince doing raunchy stuff and sexy songs about sex and love. This one, however, nails it perfectly. And I love the story that it's something I think we've all done in our life. Like, you just want to find fast love, just a nice bit of love without the need for commitment or heavy going topics, just fun. like in the lyrics, he says, "My friends all have, my friends all getting married or something like that. They all have babies, but I just want to have some fun."
Yeah.
And the music video is just, it's, he did another song in Patience, Freak, which is like a full-on heavy sex song, like angry sex. That's a brilliant song. That's a really good song.
The video to that just, yeah.
The video to that is intense. But this one is a very beautiful song about love and sex because it's done in a very beautiful, jazzy, romantic.
It's laid back, but it's
so laid back.
It's laid back but funky as well. I don't know how he worked that out. It's laid back and funky, and it does it.
It's so funky, and how the music video depicts it. It's just such the music video's smashing as anything. You know, just that whole with a device picking for sort of sexual desire, man, woman, this and that. Oh, it's brilliant. And then it just picks up the speed. And of course, the cold shower. And then the dancing. It's brilliant. And it just really goes fast. Some killer dance moves in it and some killer moments in that song.
Yeah, it's a good decision to have this as track 2 straight after Jesus to a Child. I don't think if you went into after Jesus to a Child into another slow sort of, I don't know, you'd have to, and this one straight after that up the beat a bit, you know, and gets people's attention again. Yeah, brilliant song. I love it. Yeah, I mean, 1996 was the year for his comeback, really, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
I mean, as I say, six singles. Well, there's 11 tracks on the album.
Yeah.
And 7 of the tracks was released.
Yeah.
You know, so, but I mean, there's 6 singles, double A side. What's the next one? Track 3, the title track. Released as a double A side single. 4th single. We haven't got to the 3rd single yet, but it was double A side with a cover version of a Bonnie Raitt song. I Can't Make You Love Me, which is not on the album.
It's a shame because that's a really beautiful song. I had to listen to that because I read up, and obviously there was that other song on it. I know Fast Love had a modern, like a updated version of I'm Your Man. It's good, but this one was a really beautiful song, a real beautiful cover. And that's a pity. That song would have fitted perfectly with this album.
Well, yeah, I mean, when it was released, because Older as a single only had a limited release. It was only released on one, I don't know if it was just vinyl or, I don't know if it was CDs back then, but it's 96.
I would have had CDs, I think. There were vinyls, but
I think it was only released on one format. It was double A. You think you'd have had another track off the album as a dub, but no, he had this other Bonnie Raitt song. It did all right for a limited release because it got to number 3 in the UK. This song, and this is the lowest placing single off the album, number 3.
It's again no justice in the world. It's a fantastic song.
I mean, it must have got higher. Maybe it got to number 2 if it was released on vinyl and CD and stuff like that. But they took the decision to do a limited release for some reason. I love this. It's a great song. This is one of my favourite. I said, Jesus to a Child, Older, and the words to it, as you say, it's about everybody's getting older, and you know, looking back and the lyrics. I mean, he was a good songwriter.
Oh, he was one of the great geniuses.
Yeah, and he didn't believe in himself, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Older. What have we got? Track 4. It was the 3rd single.
Yeah.
Got to number 2 in the UK. It's Spinning the Wheel. Over to you, Ethan.
Yep. This one, A Fast Love would probably be my first. My second favorite is Older. I mean, that one's just such a relatable song. This one, I thoroughly enjoyed more than I did back then. And I love the lyrics because it is, it's, I went through. It has two meanings to this song because, but one of the things is what I could relate to. It is dealing with a relationship, and I've been through this recently, early this year, where it's that fear, isn't it? Where you're in a relationship with someone, and you recognize certain things that either you've been through, or they've been through, or something, where you go, "Hang on a minute, I've been through this before." You say you could change, but you're spinning the wheel for me, and I can't. I have to finish this relationship because you're just playing dangerously with me. And I really enjoyed a great music video, and I really loved this song big time, much more than I thought. I think because I could relate to this one more, and I thought, oh, I've been through this.
Yeah. So when this was released as a single, I wasn't too keen on it. I don't know. It just didn't grab me at the time. I mean, you had Jesus Child, Fast Love, and then Spinning the Wheel came along. Yeah, his voice is brilliant on it, and it just wasn't for me. But just more now, I appreciate it more, like you say.
Yeah.
For the same reasons. You read into the lyrics. Yeah, it's a shame it only got to number 2, and I think it was those damn Spice Girls what kept him off the top. Yeah, it's a good. I mean, it's not up there with all my favourite George Michael songs.
But it's a nice gem. It's like a nice gem.
And you don't really hear it on the radio these days. You hear Fast Love all the time. You don't really hear Jesus to a Child anymore on the radio.
I hear it all the time at work on Smooth Radio.
Wow.
Oddly enough, I actually heard that the day we said we would do this.
Oh, right.
Which was really quite funny. And I thought, oh.
They said there's just certain songs what radio stations do not play for unknown reasons. I don't know. You always get certain artists, and they always play one or two of the same songs all the time. Especially even if the artists have had 50 single releases, they always play two of the same song. But it annoys me that. But I'll get off my soapbox. It doesn't really matter. Now, this wasn't a single. This is an album track. So I would do anything.
Yeah, I've got the booklet here, and I've just come across an absolutely brilliant picture of George Michael himself there.
Oh, nice coat, that. I bet you want one of those, don't you?
I've probably got one somewhere similar, but so it's not that far off. Yeah, it's again like. Again, the thing about this album is you'd either have to be a real music lover or a George Michael fan or something to really appreciate this, because a lot of these are not well known, and they're just really nice gems. They're like secret gems of music because they're so meaningful. But yeah, this one, I can't remember if I ever did hear it back then. I mean, obviously all the other ones were always playing, but this one, it just deals with the whole relationship. Like you get to that point where it's like, it doesn't really matter anymore. I've done my best. I've done this. I give up and done that.
Yeah, that's true. It is. I mean, I'm just trying to find the song lyrics now. Where are we? That's a cool picture as well. I like that picture.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, that one's brilliant.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. Next to the one with the long coat. Yeah. You know, I've got my glasses on. I can't see any of it. Why do they always print a sort of silver against black, and you can hardly see it?
I know, and it's fun. Yeah, you're looking at it like, I can't see.
Yeah, well, it is a good song. That's all this. It as you say, it's about relationships again, but I don't know why this wasn't released as a single, because I think most of the songs on here, which was how many songs? Is it 4? What was not released as a single?
Yeah,
it could have been. I mean, this could have been a greatest hits album, really.
And
It's
So again, yeah, it seems to balance like that sort of up and down, and it's sort of like that point in the story where you've just hit a low,
yeah.
but and you're trying your best to stand on your 2 feet and stuff. But it's a really well told song.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally agree. Um, where are we now? The Strangest Thing, the sixth single off the
Yeah.
album, a double A side. But this single was remixed. The song was remixed for the single. It was called The Strangest Thing '97.
Yeah.
And they did. I don't know which version I prefer. I don't know if I prefer the album version or the single version, because the single version's a bit more funky,
Yeah, it's more funky and fast and upbeat.
more upbeat. Yeah. I don't know why they did that.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a double A side with "You Have Been Loved," which is a track further down the list.
Hmm.
Got to number 2. I mean, these songs are doing rather well.
Yeah.
I mean, this album say was released May '96, and this single was released in '97. So over a year after the album was released, it's still releasing singles, and they're still charting high 3, 2.
Hmm.
It's not bad going, but yeah, Stranger Things. But I like this one. The slower album version is slower than the single version.
Hmm.
But it's just I think he had to do something because he knew everybody had the album.
Hmm.
Because I've got to up the ante with this song.
Yeah.
Off the album. Let's just put some more drum beats in here.
Yeah.
So what's your take on Strangest Thing?
Yeah, and as you said, there were 2 versions, weren't there? So like 97 was the more upbeat one, and that was like on the chart of like the dance music and stuff. But I I love the album version because I think the album version works better for the album as a whole.
Yeah,
If you listen to the whole track, it would have been a bit weird if you suddenly get a really upbeat, fast version. A bit, ooh. Whereas this works better, the slower version, and it opens up like quite unusual, isn't it? It's like an unusual sort of I don't know if it is like a kind of jazz, but it is almost like a sort of mystical. I don't know how to describe this one. Almost like that sort of down, 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 down. That sort of mystical.
don't worry, folks. Ethan will be taking his medication after the cast.
I'm all out, I think.
Damn.
But it opens up like a really
I know what you mean about the opening, though. Yeah, it's
music. It's quite sort of I don't know how to describe it. It's sort of like almost like Eastern, isn't it? If that makes any sense.
yeah. You get this. You get the feel of sand and
Aladdin, or like Arabian Nights sort of thing.
the Oasis.
Yeah, that's sort of what it comes across to me. But it works. It strangely again works because he's delving into different territory. So, like with Jesus to a Child opening up, giving us the tone of the album, this one now suddenly, after It Doesn't Really Matter, we're now into a different kind of song, which is, again, vastly different from what he's done before.
Yeah.
And it's, again, just now telling that story, like, just looking at the lyrics, after listening to it, I think it is sort of like that whole... I've been in that before, where you're in a relationship, and I think it's like if you try and go back with someone you've been with before, but you've got that voice in your head that's sort of playing with you, like, is this the right thing? Is there a thief in my bed? A liar in the lying voice in the head?
It's like having the little devil and angel.
Yeah, devil and angel. Yeah.
Shoulders. Yeah.
Do you want to be back with this person? Oh, it could work out, but you're like, And it is a really detailed song. It's a very good song, very detailed. But that's like that with all these other songs on this. It has, again, a different tempo and style.
But it suits the album so well.
It suits it, the whole dark. It's a dark song. It is a dark song. And it fits the darkness.
Well, I think the full album is quite, as you say, at the beginning of this, it is quite a dark album.
Mhm.
but it's about real life.
Yeah.
Life can be dark.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the strangest thing. I do like that one, by the way. I mean, I've got the '97 remix single somewhere,
Mhm.
and they're both as good as each other. If you want to be a bit more upbeat, listen to the '97 single. If you want
Mhm.
to be a bit more laid back, listen to the album version.
Yeah.
um, To Be Forgiven album track never released as a single. Over to
Mhm.
you.
Yeah, this one. This is another one of my favorites on this album. This one's brilliant. It opens up brilliantly as well. It's such a smooth, haunting sound. Very haunting song. I mean, there are quite a few of them, but this one has a quite haunting style because it is that point, despair, and was it me who messed up the relationship? Did I say something bad?
Like
Oh God, my sins.
questioning the outcome. Yeah.
Yeah, the outcome and like to be forgiven.
Mhm.
And we've all been there where your mind just explodes with things. And as it says here, suddenly my life is like a river taking the places I don't want to go. You do, you end up looking back on everything. And we've all done it. You look back and you think, what have I done wrong? Can I talk to the child that's inside me? Will he forgive me? What I've become? Or will I lose the child in me and stuff like that? But it's a real sort of deep, very deep song
Mm.
about dealing with like the final part of a relationship. I'm going down.
Yeah, this To Be Forgiven is my favourite album track. There ain't that many left on the album what wasn't released, but this one wasn't released. But this is my favourite album track.
Mm-hmm.
For the same reasons what you just said there. You took the words out of my mouth there. It's just yeah, it just stands out.
Yeah, just everything about it is so beautifully. The music is so
Well,
it's so smooth as anything.
I mean, okay, yeah, he's wrote the songs, he's played instruments on here on the album, but
Mm-hmm.
this album is so well put together. You've got to give credit to all the artists on this, all the producer, the
Mm-hmm.
sound engineers, and you've got to give them credit. This is such a piece of work of art to put
Mm-hmm.
this together. Um, just yeah, it's and sometimes this album, well, not sometimes, it is overlooked by Faith, shall we
Mm-hmm.
say, because they always say George Michael, oh yeah, Faith, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what annoyed it. Faith, Faith this, Faith that. Come on, guys, I've done other stuff than Faith.
Yeah.
But this is all part of the music business, or even the movie business. You have that hit, it can come albatross around your neck,
Mm-hmm.
and Faith sort of did for him become an albatross, but he came above it. He released this, and he had a success with this album. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a shame it is overlooked,
Mm-hmm.
and well, especially in America. Let's move on. Oh, next track. Move on.
Ah, move on.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your take on Move On?
Um, uh, I'm gonna say this again. You'll think I'm repeating, but again, this is another a real favorite of mine. Actually, this one is full on jazz. This is like I've been to many jazz clubs in my life, and this is something. And as you could hear in the music video, it opens up like you're in a jazz bar.
Yeah.
You hear the people laughing and the drinking and stuff like that, and then as soon as the music starts, you hear the.
I was listening to that today. It was on stereo. Now potting about doing this, that, and the ruse it's on, and I'm thinking, so who's talking? Who's clapping? I totally forgot that's how the song began. And then the music's, oh yeah, there we are. I panic over.
But yeah, this one is he must have thought, like, obviously he's done his own spin on jazz and stuff, but George Michael must have thought, I'm going to do one song which is like a true jazz-styled song, like something he must have heard when he was a kid or something. And yeah, this really works big time. It really works. It's a very amazing jazz piece.
I mean,
you could put this on any jazz album or something, and it would fit. But this works really well because you've had some really down parts of life and down songs, and then you get to that point where it's like, stand up, move on. You can do it. It's a very uplifting song. It's like it's slow, but it's uplifting.
A slow song can be uplifting, but yeah, you guys out there, if you haven't listened to this album and you're not fans of jazz, walk away now, move on. But no, I mean, he can turn that around. I think this album can turn it around for people who aren't fans of jazz.
Mm-hmm.
He can draw you in. Listen to his voice, listen to the words, and then you forget about all the jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Just one amalgamated, what do you call it? Bundle of George Michaelness.
Yeah, George Michaelness and.
But yeah, I totally agree with that. Move On is, of all the tracks, the biggest jazz infused
Yeah.
track on the album. And I mean, the album after, not the covers album after this, but the Patience album in 2004 was another different thing. It wasn't jazz. There might have been an influence here and there, but there was no big jazz influence. It sort of took everything and mixed it all together in that album. But he was experimenting. This is what he wanted to do, and he laid every track down how he wanted it. Next track is the 5th single released off it. It was released as a 97 remix version as for the single, which got to number 2 in the UK. Star People.
Yep. I remembered this song when I was listening to it. When I was listening to all this again, I do vaguely remember it, but this one's a little different from all the other songs. I think this is the only one where it's kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
Because this song is sort of it's making fun of like certain people he's met in the industry, and I wonder if he's done this. I wonder if he wrote this as a way to say to Sony, "Screw you," like from his experience, isn't it? You know, the whole greed and stuff like that. If you become so famous,
a poke in the eye at celebrity. Yeah,
and he's saying, "I'm not like that," which you could hear it, as you said earlier. He didn't like. His not his ego, his
persona,
his persona. That's it. His persona, his mask, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, his mask that people thought was his face. This is like him saying, "I'm not like that. I'm not like these people who do their own things, take all that money until they turn green and stuff like that." You know, and he's saying he probably had a better upbringing. What was your upbringing? Did daddy not like you when you were a girl? Did mummy not like you when you were a boy? Yeah. It's very upbeat, and it's a very dancey, really moving.
The single version is more upbeat than that. Yeah. If you think the album track's upbeat, when it was released as a single, they added more to it. It's still a good song. I mean, for the 5th single off it, you know, they had to do something again, as with the other Strangest Thing remix. They had to remix it because they couldn't just release the album track again. Yeah. I think they'll think, "Oh, we're being lazy again." No, we've got to remix it, and did a good job with the remix. As I say, it got to number 2 again.
Yeah.
So yeah, Star People. So yeah, it's a good track. Now, for me personally, I know I've said I like Jesus a Child. I love that song. Older, I love that song. The sixth single, which is the next track, which was a double A side, of course, with Strangest Thing 97,
Mm-hmm.
which got number 2 again. You Have Been Loved is such a brilliant, wonderful song. It is one of my all-time favourites by him. And if you ever get a chance, there is a video on the internet of him singing it live on a TV show or something, and he just wowed the audience with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Written as a tribute to a certain person. So we'll go over to Ethan and see what he says, and we'll go into the tribute in a bit more in depth.
Yep. Well, like you said, I agree. This is one of my top favorite George Michael songs. It opens up with one of the most beautiful jazz notes ever. It's so beautiful, but it is a really sad song. But it's meant to be like that. But it's a very beautiful song, and it is a sad story behind this and a lovely one in the end. But it's dedicated to the second person he dedicated this to, and I hope I'm getting this right, and it was to a person called Anselmo Philip, who was his lover.
Who died of AIDS in 1993.
Yeah, and obviously back then, AIDS was on the rampage. I mean, I know AIDS was more prominent in the 80s. Poor Freddie Mercury got it, and obviously his boyfriend, George Michael's boyfriend, got it. And it's a shame, because that's, I think, when he started to say, "This is me. I'm with this man who I love to pieces." And unfortunately, he wrote this song not only to him, but he wrote this song to his boyfriend's mother.
Mm-hmm.
And as you could tell by the song, there's a lot of it is the story of a mother losing her son.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it's just so well written.
He does so. I mean, he has written songs like this before on the previous album, Listen Without Prejudice, the song Mother's Pride.
Yeah.
That makes me well up that song as well. And this does as well. I mean, this is a wonderful, beautiful song, but you do feel it.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
The whole writing in it, the whole lyrics in it are so detailed and so emotional and beautiful. And this, in its own right, this is a real good jazz number, because you do get a lot of jazz songs that are meant to be sad and melancholy and dark. But this one, it's a beautiful tribute. That's what it is. It's a beautiful tribute to someone you love.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So for me, as I say, I would put this up, You Have Been Loved, in the top 5 of my George Michael favourite songs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, George Michael's mood, this would get played.
Yeah.
You don't always have to be upbeat to enjoy yourself or to enjoy music. You can have a slow, chill out song like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good way to sort of end. I mean, there is another track after this, but this is like the sort of end of the album.
The final chapter.
Yeah, it's a good way to end Older.
Mm.
And to say that the final 6th single off the album is amazing, and to get to number 2 as well, it's still amazing. So yeah, I'm welling up just thinking about the song. We'll move on quickly to the next song. It's called Three. For me personally, it's a nice tune, but it's a waste of space on the album. Sorry, because it's about 3.5 minutes long, and I'm thinking I really could have added another track on after the tour before it, or just skip this track and put, as we had said earlier on, I Can't Make You Love Me. Which, so they could have put that on the end of this album, but they didn't. They put this one on 3. It's sort of an instrumental with a few words nearer the end, but about 3.5 minutes long. I don't know why it was included on the album. I have heard rumours that he played all the instruments on this track.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think it was, it says here, all other instruments, George Michael, and strings, which was the only thing he didn't play, was a guy called Chris, damn, Silver and Black.
Yeah, that's why I gave up reading it. I thought I'd leave the reading.
Chris Cameron, I think that's how you say it. If I've got this wrong, sorry, George, but... Yeah. But, yeah.
It's a lovely tune. It's a lovely tune.
Oh, yeah.
I don't get it on other albums where you get songs in between another song and it's about like 40 seconds long. You're thinking, it's just a bit of instrumental. Why?
I mean...
I'm old-fashioned, I think.
As you said, yeah, it's only like 2-3 minutes long, isn't it?
Yeah.
The bit I do like, and I want, maybe in a way this is how I feel, but I wonder if this is why George Michael put it. The bit in this tune that does it for me, it's kind of a mixture of certain songs, isn't it? But instrumental combined, isn't it? Because you hear a bit of The Strangest Thing later on, and how this opens up is the same sax from Older. Yeah. But the first bit for me, up to the 1 minute 6 second mark, I think it is, before it starts to get a bit more beatier. Yeah. It's that, I think that is just such a beautiful sound.
It is.
So bloody lovely. It's, even if you're sitting like just chilled and it's like a beautiful day or sunset, it's just so uplifting. And I think because of the title of it, it's almost like that sort of uplifting moment of, as it's titled, Free. And as you said, there's a bit at the end where he says how I think it's something like how it feels to be free.
Yes, yeah.
Or so this is it, to be free.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that, along those lines. So it's almost like maybe because of the whole of the song.
That was most probably having a dig at Sony.
Yeah, okay. Probably is. Yeah, probably to say, to be free from you.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, it could be. Well, I suppose it's like his way of saying free from all the pain and all the loss and all the hardships and all the hell, the downfalls and stuff like that. And then it is so uplifting. It's like him rising up, isn't it?
Yeah, and also as well, you've got to realise he was still in the closet when this was out. It was another, is it 2-3 years?
Yeah, when he got in the toilet incident, when he got caught, didn't he?
This was still in the toilet, so not still in the toilet, still in the closet. But still in the closet when this was released. And now, as we said earlier, you look at the lyrics now and listen to the lyrics, you can see what he was trying to say. Mm-hmm. But with this Free, yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of instrumental stuff anyway, but it's a nice little tune, but I think they could have put something else just to finish
off.
Just to finish it off, because I get the feeling it was a bit of a, is that it for the last track? I think, no, right,
yeah.
There's something just
something you could have wrapped it up with.
Something better. I mean, yeah, to open it up with Jesus to a Child, and then they finish the album off with that little 3-minute sort of interlude, which maybe had been better in the middle of the album.
Yeah, it could have been. You could imagine it maybe. You could have imagined it maybe halfway through.
Yeah.
Like you've got the down, like it's up and you're down.
Yeah.
And you're rising up, and it gets to some of the Move On and Star People and stuff like that. And then finish it off with You Have Been Loved.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
just wraps it up.
yeah. But and so that's the total tracks we've gone through. As I say, it's love the album, and also as well, just a little photo on the back of there. I don't know if you see the back of his head, which says
Thank you for waiting.
"Thank you for waiting." I
Yeah.
mean, good 6 years in the making.
Yeah.
Was it worth the wait, Ethan?
Oh, yes. Certainly worth the wait for me.
Well, yeah. I mean, as I said before, you got to realise after this, there's only one more studio album of original recorded material.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have been cut. The talent has been cut short with George Michael, and the fans have, and we wanted more. We didn't
Yeah.
get, which is a shame. But we've got to appreciate what we have got.
Yeah. And sometimes he didn't do many albums, did he? I mean, I know the total is something like about 1, 2, 3, a 5, even though
One was a covers.
one was a cover song, really. And we know he had a great hit songs, a live song.
Yeah,
Patience with his last one. Again, that was a very good album because he was experimenting with different stuff. Great songs.
Yeah.
But sometimes I suppose that's what made him great. It's the smaller things that become the great things. And he gave us some of the best songs and influence we could ever ask for.
Yeah.
He was one of the musical geniuses.
And they always leave us too early.
I know.
No, I mean that Christmas Day when he passed. What a bad year we had in 2016.
Funny enough, out of all the people who passed away, I mean, David Bowie hit me hard, obviously, as you know.
I'm still reeling from Bowie. So.
Yeah, Prince, that really hit me.
Yeah.
But oddly enough, and I think I was starting to listen to George Michael again. I don't know what it was that got me back listening to him. But to hear, I think it was the least expected, but to hear that he passed away on Christmas Day,
Yeah,
something about that just really hit me. That made me think, what?
Especially as when he's got one of the most famous Christmas songs.
One of the best, yeah, one of the best. Maybe my favourite Christmas song, actually.
Which had been playing on the radio that day and on the TV, and
yeah, which is kind of strange, isn't it? Last Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, also he did that other brilliant Christmas song, December song. I just love that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's a brilliant Christmas song. Yeah. So going back to the album though, right? So we've got 11 tracks. So we'll do it this way then. We'll do it out of 11.
What's that?
We'll rate the album. We're going to rate this album.
Mm-hmm.
And 11 tracks, so we'll rate it out of 11.
Okay.
What would you rate the album out of 11? Yeah, you see, this is a different way of doing it.
Yeah, that's a good way. Why 11? Why 11 tonight? Because we'd like to go one step beyond.
Yeah, because there's 11 tracks on the album. We'll do it that way. If we review an album with only 4 tracks, it's going to be out of 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking at all of these, and even though, like we said, 3, you kind of wonder was there a better place to put it, but I am gonna give this 11 out of 11.
How did I know you were going? I knew you were going to know that.
I have to, because this is.
We didn't discuss it earlier. No, we didn't.
I knew that you knew I was going to say this. I am going to give this 11 out of 11.
Oh, now you're going to make me the bad guy, aren't you?
No, you're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm not going to judge.
Just because of the last track and my feelings towards it, I'm giving it a 10.
That's all right. That's still a good number. I knew you were going to do that anyway.
Yes, we didn't discuss it either. No, but yeah, so that's Older by George Michael, 1996. In our opinion, it's a classic album now.
Mhm.
And Ethan said it's one of his best. But I always think Faith was good. Listen Without Prejudice was good. Patience was good. All four were good.
Mhm.
But if you like dark jazz, funk, this is the album you want to get older. So I'd like to thank Ethan for joining us, talking all things George Michael and older. We'll mostly do this another time, won't we, Ethan?
Yeah.
If we decide what we're going to do, we might have an inkling what we might be doing. It's been good to talk about this album. So until next time, we'll decide which one we're going to do. Which we have got a short list of what we want to do, so we have to decide what we're going to do. But you guys out there, if you like what we're doing for the music stuff, comment below. Give us a thumbs up. And if you want to get involved in any of our casts, either it be the music stuff, the audio drama, or our movies or TV stuff, just message us. We need some new people.
Yeah.
Fresh faces, fresh blood. As long as you're just 18 and over. Because sometimes our debates on the cast get a bit heated. So we don't really have the younger people that they're just to be on the safe side, shall we say. But
Then again, that's kind of debatable, isn't it? Because even though some of us may be over 18, it's the soul. It's the soul and mind over 18.
yeah. Oh, we're going all philosophical now. Well, on that note, I don't know, you always have to have the last word. On that note, and until next time, we'll be seeing you. Bye for now.
See you later.